Hi, welcome to my video on part 4 of radians. Change a radian to degree or a degree to a radian. Recall, radiant on one rotation is 2 pi, the most, and that's equivalent to 360 degrees. And you divide by 2, you get pi. Divide by 2, you get 180 degrees. So this is the one that I use most. Pi is equivalent to 100. Pi radians is equivalent to 180 degrees. Now we're going to change radians to degrees. So we're going to use a ratio of a radian to a degree is equal to, radians is pi, equivalent to 180. So we'll cross multiply 180 times radians equals pi times degree. We're cross multiplying the ratio. Cross multiplying the proportion. A proportion is made up of two ratios that are equal. So now I'm changing a radian to degree, so I'll divide both sides by pi. Pi's cancel out and I get degree. And now I have 180 degrees over pi times radian. So this is the formula that we're going to use to change a radian to degree. That is, to change a radian to degree, we multiply by 180 over pi. So a radian to a degree, we multiply by 180 over pi. That's what we're going to do. So to change a radian to degree, we have a radian, which is pi over 2. We're going to multiply by 180 over pi. Notice the pi's cancels out. So 2 and 180 goes 90 degrees. So pi over 2 is 90. We multiply by 180 over pi. Pi's cancel. That's negative 1. 6 into 180 goes 30. So it's a negative 30 degrees. We multiply by 180 over pi. Notice that pi is on the bottom, so it cancels out, so the degree is on the top. Pi's cancels out, and we get 4 into 180 is 45, and 5 times 45 is 225 degrees. We multiply by 180 over pi. Again, the pi's cancels out. 3 into 180 is 60, and negative 4 times 60 is a negative 240. And practice. So now now that I've done 4 for you, you can pause the video and see if you can get the correct answers for these 4. So change a radian, which is pi over 10. We multiply by 180 over pi. Pi's cancel, and 10 once 180, 18, so we get 18 degrees. Multiply by 180 over pi. Notice pi's cancel. 4 into 180 goes 45, and 3 times 45 is a negative 135 degrees. And we multiply by 180 over pi. Pi's cancel. 6 into 180 goes 30. 7 times 30 is 210 degrees. And again, we multiply by 180 over pi. Pi's cancel. 3 and 180 goes 60. And negative 5 times 60 is a negative 300 degrees. So that's changing a radian to degree. Now let's change a radian to degree by a little faster method. And the faster method that you could use, besides the one by multiplying by 180 over pi, is change pi to 180 and simplify. So remember, pi is equivalent to 180. So 180 divided by 3 is 60. Pi is 180 So we put 180 in and divide. So 9 and 180 is 20, and 20 times 6, negative 8 times 20 is a negative 160. And pi is 180. And 2 and 180 goes 90 degrees, so that's 270. So it's a little bit faster if you wish to do it this way. Your choice. Pi is 180 degrees, and 6 into 180 goes 30, and we have negative 150 degrees. Just a little faster, but it's your choice. And we're going to practice with these. So practice, pause the video, and pi is 180 divided by 4 is 45 degrees. Pi is equivalent to 180 degrees divided by 10. 10 and 180 goes 18. And negative 3 times 18 is a negative 54. 3 sixes. 3 eighths are 24. 54. And pi is 180 degrees divided by 6. 6 and 180 is 30. And 11 times 30 is 330 degrees. And again, a negative 7. Pi is 180. And we have a 20. The zeros cancel. 2 into 18 goes 9. Negative 7 times 9 is a negative 63 degrees. And notice that all of these, the denominator is canceling into 180. And that's what you'll find when you do most of the questions in trig. Now, let's go to reverse. Recall, a radian is equivalent to 180 degrees. Keep that in mind. Radian is 180. To change a degree to a radian in terms of pi. So now we're going to change a degree to a radian. So a degree, 180, is the degree, and the radian is pi. That's the ratio. And we cross multiply. Pi times degree is pi degrees. And 180 times a radian. And we're changing a radian, a degree to a radian, so we divide by 180. And 180 cancels out, so we get a radian on the right side, and we get pi over 180 degrees a degree. Notice we have the reverse. The previous one was 180 over pi. Now we have pi over 180. So to change a degree to a radian, you multiply by pi over 180 degrees. So let's take the 60 and multiply by pi over 180. 60 over 1, the 60 cancels into 183, so we get a pi over 3. Negative 150, we multiply by pi over 180. Notice you have a degree here, and we have a degree in the bottom, so they'll cancel out. The zeros cancel. 3 into 15 goes 5. 3 into 18 goes 6. So we get negative 5 pi. And that's over 1, so it's 1 times 6 is 6. We multiply by pi over 180. And 5 into 135 goes 227. 5 into 180 goes 3, 15, 36. And 3 into 27 goes 9. 3 into 36 goes 12. 3 into 9 goes 3. 3 into 12 goes 4. So I broke it right down to give 3 pi over 4. And a 90 is multiplied by pi over 180. And the 90 cancels into this negative 1. 90 and 180 is 2. So I got a negative pi over 2. And if you check it, what's pi? 180. So negative 180 divided by 2, negative 90. And so pause your video and change your degree into a radian in terms of pi. Remember, we can change a radian to a decimal, but I want it as in terms of pi. So that's multiplied by pi over 180. The zeros cancel, and 3 into 21 goes 7. 3 into 8 goes 6, so we get a 7 pi over 6 multiplied by pi over 180, and zeros cancel, and 2 into 12 goes 6, 2 into 18 goes 9, 3 into 6 goes 2, 3 into 9 goes 3, so we get a negative 2 pi over 3. And 270 multiplied by pi over 180. Again, this is a degree, so degrees on the bottom, the zeros cancel. 9 and 27 goes 3, 9 and 18 goes 2, so I get a 3 pi over 2. And again, multiplying by pi over 180. And 5, you can do 45s, you can do 5s. 5 and 180, I see a 5 is a 36. 5 into 2, 5 is 45. And I see a 9. 9 into is a negative 5. 9 into 36 is 4. So it's a negative 5 pi over 4. So again, just as a reminder, just to show you here, a radiant to a degree, radiant to degree, you multiply by 180 over pi. If you change a degree to a radiant, you multiply by pi over 180. And you can tell, again, if you got a degree, the degrees cancel. If you got a radiant, the radians cancel. So what about changing a radiant as a decimal to a degree, to the degree, and we're going to say to the nearest degree. What about if we have 1 radiant? So 1 radiant, change a radiant to a degree, we multiply by 180 over pi. So 180 degrees over pi. Now use your calculator and multiply 1 by 180 divided by pi, and you'll get 57 degrees if you use your calculator. Notice that 1 radiant is approximately 57 degrees when you rotate on your circle. And we multiply by, here we're going to multiply by 180 over pi. So negative 2.5 times 180 divided by pi, or divided by 3.14, will give you a negative 143 degrees. You can use pi on your calculator, or you can use 3.14. And now pause your video and work these out. These radians are in decimals. So we multiply 5.2 by 180 over pi. And when you multiply 5.2 by 180 and divide by pi, or 3.14 on your calculator, you get 298 degrees. And here we got a negative 3.3, and we got radians, so we're multiplying by 180 over pi. And use your calculator, and negative 3.3 times 180 divided by pi, or 3.14. Check it out, you get a negative 189 degrees to the nearest degree. Okay, so notice we have radiant in terms of a decimal, and before we had it as pi, and the pi's cancel. But now we got a decimal, so we got to use your calculator. To change the degree to a radiant to the nearest 100, we multiply by pi over 180. Notice 180 over pi, pi over 180. And so 60, we multiply by pi over 180. Now we can use our calculator, or we can, 60 cancels into 183, so that gives us pi over 3. and pi over 3 is 3.14 divided by 3. So we get 1.05 approximately. Or we can take pi and divide it by 3, and we should get 1.05. A negative 110 we can multiply by pi over 180. Now we can use our calculator all the way and go negative 110 times pi divided by 180, and that will give us a negative 3.67. Or that's if you use pi on your calculator. So if you use pi on your calculator, you'll get this. But if you use 3.14, you'll get 3.66. That's because the calculator says 3.14 and many more decimals. Okay, practice means pause your video and work each of these out before I do. So this is multiplied by pi over 180, and 225 times pi times divided by 180 gives you 3.93, and I'm going to write radians in here, because if I write the radians in here, then you know it's, see, these are degrees indicated by the O's on the top. These are radians. And number 2 multiplied by pi over 180, and we want it to the nearest hundredth, so we get negative 90 times pi divided by 180, you get a negative 1.57. And that makes sense because, remember, on our circle, in terms of 1 revolution, that's a 0, that's 1.57. This is 3.14 approximately. This is 4.71, and this is 6.28 radians as a decimal. Remember, this is pi over 2, that's a 90. And this is pi, which is 180. And this is 270. And 270 degrees is 3 pi over 2. So the radian as decimals, there they are. The radians in terms of pi over 2 pi, 3 pi over 2, and this is 2 pi, or it's 360 if we rotate all the way around, or 0. And degrees. So that's changing a radian to a degree and a degree to a radian. And hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy the video and you see how I convert it, click on the like button, subscribe button, visit my website www.mathfullyexplained.com to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. That's the content on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video. Bye bye.